Becky Measures in for Paulette on BBC Radio Sheffield. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, my next guest, Sharon Bull from Chesterfield, was once £50,000 in debt due to a spending addiction. Things got so bad that it almost cost her her life. She's written about that dark period in her life and how she's since turned her life around in a recently updated book called Stripped Bare, and she's with me now. Good morning, Sharon. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Becky. Long time no see.
It certainly is. We were talking about this, that we have met. Our paths have crossed quite a few times.
Crossed, yeah.
And
it's quite a few years now. Time actually flies by so quickly. It
certainly does, my friend. It certainly does. And to sort of see you go through what you've been through and to get to this point with your life right now where you are sharing your stories. I mean, like I say, I knew you when you were possibly going through the addiction that you had. So your spending addiction, how did that start?
Well, if I can just say, before I kind of go into that, one of the main reasons why I eventually came out, it took me a long time. I mean, my mental health issues started when I was just after I'd left school, which were going back quite a long time. You know, so I was 30 years with mental health issues, which triggered the spending addiction, and it's quite how many. It's quite enlightening. I say enlightening, but how many people are in debt, and they're in debt because of mental health issues. It kind of knits together,
and it kind of makes sense. I mean, I sat watching. You know, you've been on this morning, and I've seen lots of your interviews, and I sat watching those yesterday. And there's always a part of you that sort of relates to things, or sort of, you know, thinks, oh, I can understand that. Totally. But as I known you in the past, you'd have never in a million years said that you were somebody that had mental health issues.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you only have to look at celebrities, and you wouldn't have dreamt until they come out with it, and you think, wow, I'd never thought. They've got everything. You know, they look like they're so happy. But it's what goes on behind closed doors. And that's the thing with mental health issues. And, I mean, yesterday was World Mental Health Day, and what I have to say is this, and we're doing it now. It's a great day that day, and people make conversation, and it's to try and get people opening up, get conversations going, but it shouldn't be just on that one day, and we're doing it today. We should be talking about it. Any issues like this, we can only solve them by opening up and talking about it.
Totally agree with you. Talking is so important. And, I mean, it must have been extremely important for you, because when it comes down to saying, you know, spent £50,000, got yourself in £50,000 worth of debt, some people could have viewed that as being, well, you're just being frivolous. Do you know what I mean? You're just sort of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. So how do you deal with, you know, that side of things?
Well, if I can just say, an addiction is, and this is any addiction, is a habit that spirals out of control. So a lot of people enjoy a game of bingo. A lot of people enjoy the lottery and scratch cards.
Glass of wine.
Something
like that.
Anything like that. But the thing is, if they woke up in the morning and rather than a cup of tea, they're thinking, I need a drink, an alcoholic drink, or if they are gambling to an excess and they're actually draining their financial resources, then that they've got a problem. And that was the same with my shopping addiction. It was a nice habit, which a lot of people enjoy shopping, you know, and I would never knock anybody for going out and treating themselves. But it's when it turns into an addiction. And although it's not, at the moment, it's not officially an addiction. But since I've opened up and come out about it, believe you me, the people that have sent personal messages to me, the people that have sent me emails that have got a shopping addiction, unbelievable.
Incredible. Is it like a feel-good factor? I mean, I know when I go shopping, right, and I'm not talking about the food shop or anything like that, but, you know, you get an outfit and you feel good. It's an endorphin that's sort of, like, released, isn't it? And I suppose the same goes as well for buying things for other people. Was that the kind of thing that was happening for you?
I think it's a feel-good factor when you go out shopping, but I also think that we have to look at the reasons why we're doing things. So sometimes these things are short-term fixes, and they're giving us that adrenaline, they're giving us that high. So, you know, we're reaching out for the credit card to give us that high. We're reaching out for that extra glass of wine that really we shouldn't be having. We're reaching out for, you know, and we're spending far too much on gambling, and we need to ask ourselves why we're doing it. Because at the end of the day, these short-term fixes, they're only papering over the cracks. Now, I'm not knocking anybody for going out and buying the things they like and doing the things they want to do, if it's for the right reasons and they have enough money to do it.
What were you spending your money on? What kind of things were you buying?
Oh, numerous things. And it's kind of got worse in 2003 after my father died. Now, from leaving school, as I say, I have had mental health issues. I had a massive, serious bout of depression just after I left school. And it was really bad, really, really bad. I had to see a psychiatrist and a doctor and everything, so it was really bad. And on and off, I've been on antidepressants. You know, I've had some real serious bouts. So this shopping addiction was part of that. And what I believe the shopping addiction was a lack of self-esteem. I didn't like myself very much.
You would never have thought that. No. Sharon, honestly, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, you'd thought you'd loved yourself, because that wasn't the case at all. But when I saw you, you were a very flamboyant lady that's extraordinarily glamorous that everyone knew.
Yeah. Absolutely true. I you know, and I still have that personality. But I feel so much better about myself because I don't feel I'm being me.
You don't have to live up to it.
No, I'm being me. I'm being who I want to be now. And that's what people have to start loving themselves for who they are, not who they feel they should be. And not, you know, if I tell you, I bought a very glamorous dress for a New Year's Eve dance, shall we say, and I'm going back quite a lot of years now, and it was really flamboyant. It was very, very expensive. And at the turn of 12 o'clock, I nipped to the hotel room, changed into jeans and a T-shirt so I could dance the night away, because that's how I felt best.
To be.
And that's who I wanted to be. So, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and the point of the matter is like you're saying, you had this sort of flamboyant persona. You were very much the life and soul of a party. You know, you'd look at you and think, you know, probably to a lot of women, wow, you know, she seems to be living that life. And for you, behind those closed doors, you were even considering taking your own life.
I did, yeah, absolutely. 2010, I lost almost everything. Well, I lost my job, my home.
And this was this was to do with the spending.
Well, it was a mixture of those. It was a mixture. It all came to a head. 2008, it came to a head, but 2010 was when I lost my job, and so it all came, you know, crashing down on me. And I lost literally almost everything, to the point where I literally contemplated suicide. And thankfully I didn't. And the one person that I should have spoken to way before I did was my mum. But I say to people, and I know some people find it difficult to speak out, they find it difficult to talk to people. I did. It took me a lot of years before I actually spoke about it. I grew up in a time where mental health was not discussed. You know, absolutely. You did not discuss it. I mean, it is more open now, although let's not kid ourselves that the stigma, it's still around, but it's a lot better than it was. But, you know, if you can't speak out, one of the things that I did during those really difficult times, which has been sort of like the basis of the, well, not the basis of the book, but started the book, was write. I had a journal, and get it out your system, even by writing. Just get it out your system.
I totally am with you on that one, and this is what we want to move forward with, because, you know, you are in a better place now. I'm going to have a chat about that in just a moment.
Okay.
Sharon Bull is with me right now, author of the latest self-help book, Stripped Bare. We'll find out more about that in just a second. Donna Summer Hot Stuff. BBC Radio Sheffield. Good morning, 10:20. It's Becky Measures in for Paulette, and I've been joined for the last sort of 15 minutes by a fantastic lady called Sharon Bull from Chesterfield. Was once £50,000 in debt due to a spending addiction, and she has changed her life around. She's recently got a book called Stripped Bare, which I do have a copy of right in front of me here, Sharon. And we were talking a few moments ago about, your shopping addiction, really was horrendous, and you felt like you were living two different lives. And I love the front cover of the book that you've got, The Stripped Bare, because one side, I'm assuming this is you. It looks like you.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
The picture on the front.
It's actually a friend that's actually called Cherry, who's actually designed the front. She's an artist, an old school friend, and I told her how I wanted the book cover. The two, like the past and the present. She's been very kind to me.
No,
bless her. She's been extremely kind. I've got really long legs, which is amazing.
Well, the point of it is there is one side of you has a ball gown on, and then the other side has got dungarees and is holding a baby lamb, as though that's your farming side. That's your real side.
That's my real side.
And this is what we've been talking about. Is that so one persona's this, and then the other one's that, and never the two shall meet. But what is the real you? And this is what the book is getting back to.
The book is about it covers my. If I say half the book covers my sort of life story, so what I feel triggered the depression, the spending addiction. So it covers all that side, and then the second half is really about my recovery and the other. The authentic me, the authentic self, how I find myself. So even though 2010, I say, was the worst time of my life. And I really did hit rock bottom, but I don't regret it happening because of that, I am who I am now and I'm doing what I'm doing. And if it hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have had the experiences to share and to understand other people that's going through it. So I don't regret what happened, because it had to happen so that I could lift myself back up and be who I am.
It's like a learning curve, isn't it? And if you don't go through something, you can't learn to move.
It was a massive learning curve. Well,
it is. But then these things have to happen, like you say. You have to go through the horrendous to appreciate the good, I suppose. And there's a story why it's called Stripped Bare, isn't it? But it was called something else to start with.
It was. It was brought out in a very limited way just to test the water, but it's actually called Stripped Bare. It's actually linked to a spoken poem that I do at events, which I know we're going to talk about Sheffield events soon. At events, we try kickstart the event. The poem, spoken poem, is called Stripped Bare, and to be perfectly honest, it's the back of the book. And to be honest, it really ought to have been at the front because it kind of says what the book's about.
Absolutely, totally. And the point is with this as well is that you've written the book, which obviously was quite therapeutic for yourself. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have read this, and even a lady has said that she feels this is going to save other people's lives.
Yeah.
Quite dramatically.
Yeah.
And that's led you on to doing quite a few other things, hasn't it? So your public speaking, what does that involve? And you're doing a tour with this. Where can people find out a bit more about that?
Right, so literally, I'm an inspirational speaker, poet, writer. I initially started doing blogs for for charities, and
is that how everything started?
That's how everything's evolved. Yeah, I started doing blogs for charities, for mental health charities, for animal welfare charities, because that's another sort of issue that's close to my heart. So I started doing blogs, and then the inspirational speaking kicked in, and so I've done talks for mental health charities, seminars. But with this book, I'm now doing some dates in November that's linked to the book. So I'll be doing a talk about the issues and values within the book. I will talk about myself, obviously, and how I've overcome. Can I just say, because I don't want people to think mental health issues, and people will say, well, if you've got mental health issues, you've got mental health issues. I don't ever profess that my mental health issues have gone away, because that would be wrong. What I do now, I've recovered purely, and I say recovered because depression always sits on your shoulder waiting to swoop down at any given moment, but I actually have replaced some of my bad habits with better habits. So I train regularly, I go out walking, I enjoy nature, animal welfare, and I meditate.
Do you?
Yes.
And you find that's a huge deal, do you?
On a daily basis.
Right.
So I'll be talking about all these things in the talks, and there'll be a Q&A and some book signing. One is actually in Sheffield, and the money that we make on the tickets will be going to Sheffield Mind, and it's on Monday the 20th of November at the Old Rectory.
Fantastic. And are you going to be doing this tour a lot more sort of around the country?
Yeah, there's Manchester, London and Derby so far.
Right, brilliant. Sharon Bull, whose book Stripped Bare is out now. As I say, she'll be in Sheffield as part of a book tour for Stripped Bare at the Old Rectory in Handsworth on November the 20th.
Just a day, Stripped Bare, Amazon, Waterstones and other bookshops.
Go and get that book. It sounds a fascinating reader, but you're all good now.
All good now.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you so much. Tickets are £10 with profits, as I say, going to Sheffield Mind. Sharon Bull, best of luck with everything. Thank you for opening up to us, and thank you for your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our choir